Listen, man, I'm not a wine drinker, but when you got a wine connoisseur coming and stuck in the middle, it's only right that you pour you a glass. You feel me? We got Jenny Dawn coming on Stuck in the Middle podcast today, talking wine. She got a wine cellar in Wichita, Kansas. I can't wait to talk to her, man. Black lady, Wichita, Kansas, killing it in the wine game. Got 4 bottles of wine in the market. We're gonna be talking to her right after the intro. It's Reflex. This is Stuck in the Middle podcast, a platform for entrepreneurs, innovators, creators of African descent. Y'all in for a good one today, man. Let's get it.
So Jen, listen, let me. I had to get a bottle of wine, but last time I had a bottle of wine set up in a glass and everything ready, but this time, I can only do it so much. How much wine do you drink a day?
That is a really good question. I only try and drink a couple glasses of wine per day, but as I'm doing wine tastings with my guests, I like to sip along with them. So a lot of times I will end up spitting some throughout the day, but wine is to me is very relaxing. It puts you in a really good mood. So I feel like why not?
What is the phrase "have faith and never give up," which you even have tattooed on your body, mean to you? What does the phrase "have faith but never give up" mean to you?
Absolutely. So as I was building this business, I encountered several roadblocks and I always leaned back on my faith to get through those rough times. And so I wanted a constant reminder, like literally it is right here on my wrist that says have faith and never give up, because sometimes you need that internal drive
Right.
to help you get through very challenging tasks, situations, and having that faith just really propels you forward.
Yeah, I'd imagine. Is it safe to say you are the first African American woman with a wine maker in the state of Kansas? Yes, no.
That is correct.
How,
So
what's the
Kansas,
feeling like?
it's very, it's inspirational even to me as the winemaker and the owner, because I feel like I've had to jump through so many hoops as far as institutional and systemic racism to get to where I am today. And I want to be an inspiring role model for others to kind of follow their passion and follow their dream. Um, and so, yeah, I'm excited to bring some diversity and inclusion to the wine industry here in Kansas.
You mentioned, roadblocks. How long has Jenny Dawn Wine Cellars been in business in Kansas?
Yeah,
Wichita,
absolutely.
Kansas, for that.
Yes, holding it down in Wichita.
Yeah.
So I have been in business since 2016, but I started making wine at home, and then I actually spent some time in Napa, California, making wine there. And then we actually opened up this beautiful winery in downtown Wichita on November of last year.
Wow.
So I've been in the wine industry for a little bit of time, but this is the first experience operating my own physical winery space. We have wine production, we have a tasting room, we have an event center. So it's a lot on my plate, and we've really been doing this for less than a year.
Coming up on, like, your 1 year anniversary in November year. How has,
Yeah.
what I mean? Like, I don't think anybody, especially you as an entrepreneur going into business, would have imagined that the world would be in a pandemic this year. How has COVID impacted business for you as a wine seller?
Yeah, absolutely. So COVID definitely has had an impact on our business. We've had to shut down our physical tasting room where people would come in and actually enjoy the wine with food. So we've had to do that several times. We shifted gears and started selling our wines online. So now we can ship to 38 states, which is great. And then we do have distribution. So our wines are in 30 local wine retailers, but we still sell the most bottles, we still sell the most glasses out of our physical winery. So having that be shut down for 4 months this year has been
Mm.
really challenging. It's really hurt our bottom line.
You mentioned earlier, like, You started off selling wine from your house, from your, basement or your living room. What was it for you? You know what I mean? Like, take us all the way back. That was like, that gave you that love for, this beverage, and, you wanted to
Absolutely.
make it and wanted to sell it.
So I
Like,
do have to
what's the
correct you.
story?
I couldn't technically sell the wine that I made at home. Um, so I just gave that wine away as gifts, and it was really to get people's feedback. I'm big on understanding consumer wine preferences, and I feel like wine is such a personal thing that you either like something or you don't, and what I like may not be what you like. So
Hmm.
having wines that a broad group of people could enjoy was so important to me. So having people just try the wines and give me feedback was a huge part of my process in starting up. And so I started making wine in 2014. And honestly, it was somewhat of an economic experiment because I was spending a lot of money on wine and I wanted to see if I could make it for less than what I was paying on the retail store shelf. So
Okay.
it started as something I did for myself and as a hobby just to kind of like unwind and relax after my busy day working in corporate America HR. And as I was making these wines, I started getting really positive feedback. And that's when I decided, okay, maybe I could do this as a business.
What's the first thing you did? It's like, okay, I gotta put this out there. I gotta do this as a business, maybe even part time or take it. You're full time. You killing in it. What's the first thing you did to set this up to be able to say, here's a price tag, here's some bottles in the store, go buy it.
Yes. So you have to go through all these licensing processes. So as a winery, I am licensed at the federal level. I have a basic permit to make wine. And then I have 3 licenses at the state level to make wine again, to sell my wine online. And then I have what's called a drinking establishment license. So I can have like beer and liquor in my space. That's 4 licenses. And then I had to get a license at the local level to sell the wine and to have entertainment. So I have 6 licenses through the 3 branches of government. That was kind of step number 1, was getting licensed. But to get licensed, you have to have a commercial um, space. Like you can't do it in your residence. You have to have a commercial space to actually manufacture the wine.
Hmm.
So I chose our Union Station building, which was vacant for about 20 years. It's a 120,000 square feet structure in downtown. It's a beautiful building that they completely renovated. I got to design every aspect of my space. So having that complete was step 1, and then going through the licensing was step 2. And then I had to work with growers here in Kansas as well as California to get grapes and juice so that I could actually start making the wine. So it was quite a process that I had to go through to get this up and running.
Jennifer, have you made your money back? I know you only been, saying like a year coming up, and have you made your money back?
No, not yet. That's a process. Like, and I think that's something that entrepreneurs may not understand. I am in a asset heavy industry and the barriers to entry are really, really steep and great. So, I have hundreds and thousands of dollars wrapped up in equipment here, and then
Hmm.
hundreds of thousands of dollars wrapped up in my wine inventory, and then you have payroll and utilities and, so just the financing of this business is something that I spend a lot of time on, understanding where I'm at from a cash flow perspective. So there's so much to know and understand as a business owner. I'm grateful for mentors that kind of help me along with the business side of Jenny Dawn Cellars.
What's the highlight though of saying this whole process for you? What's the greatest thing that you've learned so far? It could be a challenge you've overcome, or like a thing that you like, man, I gotta share this because it's the highlight.
Absolutely. So I feel like the highlight is the interactions that I have with my customers and my guests. So we've had several proposals at the winery We've had people who their palates have changed over time and they feel more comfortable ordering wine and they just truly enjoy that wine experience. So that makes me feel good. And then I also teach these wine classes called Winecation, where we feature wines from all across the globe, as well as Jenny Dawn Cellars wines. And I get to educate people on the winemaking process. So
Mm-hmm.
for me, the most rewarding aspect of all of this is the interactions that I get to have with people every day. And one of the highlights is on a Saturday night, I scan the room and it's full of people and all diverse backgrounds, socioeconomic statuses, gender, ethnicity. And I feel like you couldn't go anywhere else in Wichita to see that level of diversity in one place. So
Mm-hmm.
that also makes me happy.
You know, it sounds like a lot, and it's great stuff. What's the team? What does the team look like for Jenny Dawn Wine Cellars in Wichita, Kansas? Because that's a lot of stuff to handle. You know, so you running the business, all that stuff. What's your staff like? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. So I have a really great team. We're a team of 8. And so I have a tasting room manager and then 4 servers and a customer service representative. And then I have a chef. So it's a group of hardworking individuals that enjoy wine and just creating this really cool vibe for people to come in and have a great experience. So I definitely could not do this by myself. And so I'm grateful for the team that I've been able to assemble.
where were you born?
I was actually born in Omaha, Nebraska, and then raised in Columbus, Nebraska.
What?
Yeah, so I'm a Midwest gal, grew up in Nebraska, um, was highly like involved in athletics. So track and field was kind of my sport all throughout, my growing up. And I actually ran in college and uh, then eventually moved to Wichita with my husband.
Mm.
So.
Yeah. Speaking of Omaha and sports, Omaha Hut. It's like, no, I'm just kidding. That's it. How many farms have you visited?
So I love going to the vineyards. Here in Kansas, I've tried to go through to, most of the vineyards and wineries. It's a pretty small industry here in Kansas. There's only about 50 of us. And then I spent a lot of time going up and down the Napa Valley and the Sonoma Valley, visiting wineries. And then I spent some time going to Austin, Texas, to the urban wineries that they have there, since I'm an urban winery. That was part of my research process, just to understand, what I wanted my winery to be like. So I had to check out what was out there.
With a master's degree in agribusiness, what do you find, that consumers prefer, in research? I don't know if you published a thesis, like what did you find when it comes to like, agribusiness? What is that, first of all? Like, I don't even know what that is.
Yeah. So agribusiness is any agriculture related, business. So we looked at economics, we looked at finance, we looked at a lot of modeling in Excel to understand, best case scenario, worst case scenario, different things like that. We looked at supply chain, marketing, international trade. So it was a really well-rounded master's degree. It was almost like an MBA, but it was specific to the ag industry, which wine is an agriculture product. The grapes are grown in vineyards, and I actually am a grower. My family owns an acre of land in the city here of Wichita, and we're planting fruit trees, strawberry plants, and grapevines. So having an ag-based degree was really important to me. And through my thesis research, what I found was people had an affinity for some of what I call the noble grapes, so Cabernet Sauvignon, Chardonnay, Pinot Noir, Moscato, but then they also had a liking to some of the Kansas wines that weren't super, super, super sweet. Kansans are known to have a sweet palate, but I feel like some of the producers overdo it. And so I knew for us to be successful here at Jenny Dawn Cellars, I had to have kind of those well-known grape varietals on my menu, but also locally made wine from local grapes that had a much more broader appeal than what some of the other players in the market were making. So that's kind of what I learned from my thesis research.
Dang, she studied up on this joint. As of 2016, you have 4 wine bottles in the market. How many bottles do you have in the market right now?
Yes, so now we have 11, which is exciting. I actually have sold out of 2 of my wines temporarily, so we're in the process of remaking them. But I have a rosé of Crimson Cabernet that we call Red Caboose that I'm temporarily sold out of. And then I make a blackberry wine called Wichita Passion, and we're temporarily sold out of that as well. These wines should be finished in November, so just a couple months and we'll have them back on the shelf. But we're selling through our wines very quickly. One of the next challenges that I have is how can I scale up my production without increasing my fixed costs, which means I can't purchase any more equipment. I can't expand my footprint. I have to kind of use the space and the resources that I have, but try and make more wine than I have been. So that's my big challenge right now.
How does a novice like moi know great, wine? How does somebody who say don't really know wine, just like, hey, it's a vibe, give me some wine. How do I know what a good quality? When I watch the movies, I forget what it. I don't know if one of my cousins said when you swirl it in the cup, if he. I don't know. You explain it. You know this stuff. Help me out.
Yes. So there are several different quality indicators of wine. When I'm doing wine tastings, I look for 5 things. So I look for the appearance of the wine. You don't want a wine to be cloudy or have any sediment in it. So the appearance is a quality indicator. 2, I look for the aroma. So when you do swirl and you put your nose into the glass, you want to have all these different isolated senses that you can find. You don't want to have one overpowering or dominant aroma. There should be like multiple things going on in that glass. So that's the second quality indicator. 3rd is body. So each wine has a typical kind of body preference. Like with Chardonnays, if it's an unoaked Chardonnay, it should be a lighter body wine. If an unoaked Chardonnay was a full-bodied wine, then you kind of know something was off. So that's the 3rd. The 4th is around taste. So what you're smelling in the glass, you should be able to taste on your palate. If there's a disconnect, then that also shows that it's a lower quality wine. And then lastly is the finish of wine. The finish of wine should actually linger on your palate, and there should be an aftertaste. If you take a sip and the flavors disappear, like
I think we lost her. Crap. G. Hello?
I'm still here.
Oh, okay. I think we lost you on step 5. You can just speak up.
So step 5 was on our finish, which is the there should be an aftertaste with your wine. So if the wine is not lingering on your palate, then that is a negative on the quality indicator. So that's all 5.
Man, that's I'm gonna have to write that down. Next time I get a bottle of wine. I see a lot of just looking up on you this past week, even right now, a lot of purple. Is that just your favorite color, or is it just great? Yeah.
That is a really good question. So I am pretty much in purple from head to toe. Purple for me is our brand color. And I chose purple because purple is the color royalty, and Jenny Dawn Cellars is a premium wine brand. Purple is the color of grapes, so that seemed fitting. And then I am a Kansas State University alumni, and
Mm.
purple is our school color.
Hey, I love it. I love it. Now I wanna backtrack just a little bit here, for our entrepreneur listeners and watchers. By the way, we are talking with Jennifer Dawn. She is the founder CEO of Jenny Dawn Cellars in Wichita, Kansas. Awesome, awesome, awesome stuff. If you are just catching up, this is Stuck Middle Podcast. Please hit that subscribe button if you're watching on YouTube. Hit the ringer so you get updates every time we drop something new. If you're listening on your favorite podcast streamer, do a screenshot, send it to us, tag us so we can repost it. Let us know how you like it and all that good stuff. Also share it to your networks. We appreciate you. If you want to write for us, SITM Podcast 237 is the name of the email. Hit us up and we appreciate y'all. Jen, I wanted to ask you how you raise money because you mentioned earlier about the equipment you got in there is hundreds of thousands of dollars. You know what I mean? Like, how as a businesswoman did was this savings? Like, how did you get started when it comes to
Yeah,
capital?
so that's a real good question. So what I did is I had kind of three sources of funds. Very, very early on in my business, I bootstrapped. So I worked for about 10, 12 years in human resources, had a good career. I saved up a lot of money and used those funds to make wine in Napa. And then together, my husband and I put in some money. And then I was able to raise capital. So I worked with an attorney to get a term sheet together, my operating agreement, my private placement memo, and that just irons out all of the terms that investors could agree upon to become a part of my business as a shareholder.
Mm-hmm.
And so I have 5 outside investors. So my husband and I are investors, and then I have 5 others. So there's a total of 7 of us.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, I did have to get some bank loans. So the wine industry is highly capital intensive, and you have to make sure you have a long enough runway to be able to make these wines and then sell it, and to pay your people, to be able to replenish your inventory as you sell out. There's a lot to it. So I'm grateful that I went through a couple programs, some business like accelerators that really gave me the tools to be able to put all of this together.
What is, this is a two-part question in one. What is one thing that you know now that you didn't know when you first got into this business? Or in other words, what would you say to somebody looking to get into this right now?
Absolutely. So my number one advice that I tell people is do not go at this alone. Find a mentor, a support group, connect with other like-minded entrepreneurs. You have to have a really solid support system because you don't know what you don't know, and there's always room for improvement. You have to have a product or service that someone kind of needs or wants, so wine's kind of a need and a want for some people. and so it's definitely something that is in high demand. But if you're creating a product or service that there isn't a customer base for, then I would encourage folks to kind of pivot. So those are some of the pieces of advice. Definitely don't go at it alone. Find a good support system, and then make sure that the product or service that you're trying to sell is a need or a want for people.
Mm-hmm. I'm from Cameroon. That's in West Africa, and I've recently had a dream, not a dream, but an idea to invest in wine. And the reason why that came to my heart is because I watched one of the YouTubers that I follow. His name is Ayana. He's based in South Africa right now. He visited a wine farm, and he was huge, massive, and the place was awesome, was beautiful. He was doing a wine tasting. He said, "This is why we need to travel more because we're exposed to things like this, and we can invest in it." Is that something you would advise? You know what I mean? Like, as me, just, I want to invest in the wine farm. He said it's profitable. Would you agree?
So you have to determine as an investor how involved you want to be in the business And one, if you believe in the entrepreneur and the business plan. Two, if you have something that you want to give or contribute. So I always say you don't want to just take money from anyone, you want to take smart money. So what is that investor bringing to the table that can help you grow the business? So you as a potential investor, I would just say, how involved do you want to be? Are you there for the long haul? Are you going to dive in and get your hands dirty and help with the business, or what are you trying to get out of it? So if you're in alignment with the entrepreneur on all of those things, then I'd say, yeah, go for it. Go invest.
Definitely. Did you watch the Netflix movie Uncorked?
I did. I loved it because I'm a first level sommelier and he was going for his master sommelier, and that whole process is so grueling, and just what he had to go through personally, losing his mom throughout the journey and not having the support of his father, and his father wanting him to go into the family barbecue business. I really felt for him. It was a good movie.
Yeah, definitely. I enjoyed it. They had no idea, so even the word Somali is this Somalians, Jesse Somali, but it was a great movie. I enjoyed it. What do you, do for fun? Like, I imagine your days are busy. Like, what does Jennifer do in her spare time?
That is a good question. So I was a former athlete, so I actually like to golf. I got back into golfing. I used to golf
that's what you do when you big baller. You know what I'm saying? You don't get business now. You got the wine. You know what I'm saying? First you go golf. Now you come back. You drink your wine, Jen. You know what I mean? It's like I'm gonna have to move to Wichita.
I like the mentality you work hard and you play hard. So you do have to find outlets. So exercising, reading. Like I really like to read other entrepreneurial stories or just inspirational things that kind of get me outside of my head. Mm-hmm. And I like to hear about other people's lives and their journeys. So I do enjoy reading. I do enjoy exercising. And then I have 2 kids and a husband, so just spending time with the family. And then I also have 2 dogs, so I like taking my dogs for walks.
Yeah, that's excellent stuff, man. Listen, if you need a formidable place to, learn about other entrepreneurs stuck in the middle, it's definitely the place. And we appreciate you for coming on and sharing your story. We talk with incredible people like Jen on this podcast on a weekly basis. I hope you enjoyed, this as much as I did. I learned a lot, Jen. How can people reach out to you, if they have questions or, just find out more about Jenny Dawn Cellars in Wichita, or, just place an order?
I would encourage everyone to go to our website. So it's just jennydawncellars.com. There's a wealth of information about how to contact us. You can sign up for our newsletter. You can shop from the website. We ship to 38 states. But we're also active on Instagram under Jenny Dawn Cellars, Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. So definitely connect with us on social media. And then reach out to me personally. I always love, talking with other entrepreneurs or people who are interested in the wine industry specifically. I would love to mentor and help because I know how much that has meant to me. And so I definitely love to give back.
Thank you so much, Jen. Hopefully we can, connect again. I have a family down in Kansas, so you know what I mean? I'm gonna be down there sipping some of that wine, or I'm gonna send you a picture when I order my bottle. But this has been awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. I greatly appreciate it.
All right. Listen, if you enjoyed what you heard, again, hit that subscribe button. We just spoke with Jenny Dawn of Jenny Dawn Wine Cellars. This is Stuck in Middle Podcast. I'm your host, The Reflex. Shout out to AK in the background producing. Shout out to Ma. Shout out to the whole crew. And we out.